if someone's listening to this right now and they're sitting in a job they don't want to be in, waking up every morning saying, I have to, and they've been thinking about this for a while but haven't moved, what do you tell them?
Ah, interesting. I tell them I was that person. I was exactly that person. And I probably would have stayed that person, if I hadn't ended up in a hospital bed with nothing to do but think.
And most people aren't going to get hit by a car.
Right. Most people don't get that kind of forced stop. So you have to choose it yourself. You have to decide to stop and ask yourself what you actually want.
Nice.
I mean, before something forces you to, because life is short. Not in a motivational quote kind of way, in a I was just riding home from work kind of way.
Wow. That line is going to stay with me.
It stayed with me too, every single day since.
He was just riding home from work. He had plans for the weekend. Then everything changed. He had the motorcycle for exactly 3 days before someone's text message ended his old life. Okay, so you built this entire house yourself.
Yeah, designed it, built it from the ground up.
And now you work when you want.
That's it. I don't wake up saying I have to do this. I wake up saying I want to do this. That's a big difference.
That's the part a lot of people dream about and never get to.
I know. And honestly, it started with the worst year of my life.
We're gonna get into that. But first, let's walk through this place because I'm already seeing things I did not expect.
Yeah, come on in.
All right, guys, welcome. I'm standing inside a $55,000 tiny house on wheels built almost entirely from salvage materials by one guy in 4.5 months. This is Richard's story, and trust me, you're gonna want to hear all of it. So the first thing I noticed walking in here, this doesn't look like a typical tiny house build.
Huh, what do you mean?
Like, everything has a story. Can you tell me, where did all of this come from?
Yeah, sure. So the whole time I was building, I kept what I called my salvage kit in the back of my car.
A salvage kit?
Basic hand tools, tarps, tie downs, that kind of stuff. So whenever I drove past something on the side of the road, I was ready.
Oh, you were just hunting?
Yep. Oh my God, every single day. You'd be surprised what people throw away.
Okay, so what's the best thing you ever pulled out of a dumpster?
The stove. Hands down, the stove.
Wait, that stove?
That stove. We were on a bike ride, rode past this old historic house getting renovated, and I saw it sitting by the dumpster.
And you just stopped mid-ride?
I went and asked the guys, hey, are you throwing that away or are you going to use it? They said, nobody's picked it up yet. I said, I'll take it right now. And I did.
Just like that?
Just like that. Got it home, noticed it had a mirror on it. Took the mirror off, and behind the mirror it was dated December 2nd, 1926.
No way!
That stove turns 100 years old this year. I stripped it, sanded it, stained it, sealed it, all of that. It's one of my favorite parts of this entire house.
Yo, I mean, you can feel the history in it. Okay, what else?
The ceiling.
The ceiling is reclaimed too?
Every single piece. I found a pile of old deck wood on the side of the road, ran each board through the table saw 6 times, and pulled out at least 1,000 nails by hand. 1,000 nails by hand. By hand. It was a lot of work. Originally, I wanted to use it as siding on the outside, but I didn't have nearly enough for that. So I brought it inside, and now it's the whole ceiling.
That's actually kind of perfect. It ended up exactly where it needed to be.
Yeah, sometimes the material tells you where it wants to go.
All right, so we're moving further in, and okay, I was not expecting this.
What?
Is that a projector screen?
Yeah, 110 inches.
Wow, so cool. Inside a tiny house.
With surround sound, Bluetooth, the whole setup.
Yeah, I mean, people assume tiny house means you give everything up.
That's the thing. Just because you're living tiny doesn't mean you're without your toys. This was something I knew I wanted from day one.
And it actually works in here?
Works great, but it does more than just movies. When I have guests over, it becomes a privacy screen. Separates the space.
Oh, that's smart.
And in the summer, my AC unit is actually sitting behind it.
So the screen hides the AC.
Mm-hmm. You know, big AC unit, tiny space, it gets cold in here fast.
I love that. One thing doing 3 jobs at once. Very tiny house thinking.
That's exactly it. Every element has to earn its place.
Okay, and then I'm looking up at the ceiling and are those bikes? 3 bikes. 3 bikes hanging from the ceiling.
That was a must-have for me. I had to have my bikes inside. Non-negotiable.
How do you even fit 3 bikes in 250 square feet?
That was the challenge. Took me a while to figure it out, but they just come down from the ceiling, ready to go whenever I am.
That's honestly kind of beautiful. Like the things you love most are literally above your head.
I never thought about it that way, but yeah.
I'd probably bang my head on a bike every morning though.
You get used to it. Maybe.
Okay, so you've got the screen, the AC, 3 bikes, and it still feels open in here. How?
You design around what matters to you, not around what a normal house is supposed to look like. That's the whole point.
That's the part people don't get until they see it in person.
Exactly. On paper, it sounds impossible. But standing in here, it just works.
Okay, so walk me through the rest of the space, because I keep seeing things that don't make sense in the best possible way.
All right. So this is my office.
This little fold-up table?
Fold-up table, computer monitor that pulls out, works as a standing desk. And when I don't want to stand, I've got my bar stool right here.
Simple, clean, functional.
And conveniently placed right next to the beer taps.
Wait, beer taps, plural.
2 taps, 2 kegs.
Oh my God, you have 2 beer taps in your tiny house.
I do.
Wow, amazing. I've been to bars with less going on than this.
Brewing is one of my biggest hobbies. I compete in it. So having beer in the house was never optional. It was a requirement.
Okay, so where are the kegs?
Under the kitchen area, and then under my bathroom sink, I've got a full fermentation chamber.
A fermentation chamber under the bathroom sink?
In theory, I've got about 30 gallons of beer going at any given time.
30 gallons in 250 square feet. I don't know whether to be impressed or concerned.
Be impressed. Definitely be impressed.
Okay. And the sink, this doesn't look like a regular sink. It's a commercial dishwashing station.
Picked it up at auction.
How much?
$130.
130 bucks.
Then I customized it, added the butcher block countertops, and the top lifts up so I've got storage for dishes underneath.
So it's a sink, a counter, and a storage unit all in one.
For $130.
That's the kind of thing you only find if you're always looking.
That's exactly the mindset. You keep your eyes open, you find the gems, then you make them work for what you need.
And then down here, wait, is the bathroom floor made of wood rounds?
Firewood.
You put firewood on your bathroom floor.
Found it on the side of the road, cut it to 3/4 of an inch, glued it all down. Still need to pour epoxy over it, but it's in there.
That's wild, in a really good way.
You know what I like about it? I didn't have to ask anyone if it was okay. No resale value to worry about, no one to impress. I thought it was cool, so I did it.
That line right there, that's the whole tiny house philosophy in one sentence.
Before we get into how this whole thing came together, I noticed something on the wall over here.
Oh, yeah.
That painting. Did you do that?
I did.
You paint too?
Yep, you know, a little bit of everything. I actually had 5 paintings that size.
5?
Had to get rid of 4 of them. Just wouldn't fit in the house.
That must have been a tough call.
It was. But this one was my favorite. So I found a place for it, no matter what.
I like that. Some things you just don't negotiate on.
Exactly. The bikes, the beer taps, this painting. Those were my non-negotiables.
Okay, so let's talk about the build itself, because this doesn't look like a typical stick-built tiny house. What did you use?
SIPs, structural insulated panels.
Break that down for me.
Basically, it's a piece of foam sandwiched between 2 pieces of OSB.
So it's like a foam sandwich.
Exactly. And what's great is I designed the whole house custom, sent everything to the SIPs manufacturer. They cut the walls to spec, windows, doors, everything, all prefabricated, delivered on a flatbed trailer.
So it showed up basically ready to assemble.
Ready to assemble. And we got the entire shell up in 2 days.
2 days?
Yep, 10 people. None of them had ever built a house before.
Wow, amazing. That's kind of unbelievable.
And within 2 weeks, the place was dried in, weatherproofed. 4.5 months later, I was living in it.
4.5 months from nothing to move in.
From nothing to move in.
And the SIPs, are they actually better than traditional framing?
For this kind of build, yes. They go up fast, they're extremely strong,
And because it's one solid piece, you don't get the draftiness you get with the traditional 2x4 wall. No thermal bridging. The whole envelope is tight.
So it stays warm in winter, cool in summer.
Big AC unit, tight walls, small space. Yeah, it stays very comfortable.
I'm starting to see how much thought went into every single decision here.
That's 4.5 months of thinking and building at the same time.
Worth it though.
Every nail was worth it.
Thank God.
So, Richard, you mentioned earlier this all started with the worst year of your life.
Yeah.
I think that's the part people really need to hear.
So when I graduated college, I really wanted a motorcycle. Like, really wanted one. So I bought one as a graduation present to myself.
That's a good gift.
I had the bike for 3 days.
Oh,
Yep. I was riding home from work. Just a normal Tuesday. Had plans for the weekend, just living my life. And a woman ran me over.
What happened?
She was texting and driving. Didn't see me, just ran me over.
Oh, man.
Shattered my femur, shattered my ankle. They had to put a rod in my femur, a plate in my ankle.
That's a serious injury.
About a year to recover, a full year.
Holy.
During that time, I was just in a hospital bed. Nothing to do, nowhere to be, just lying there thinking.
That's a lot of time alone with your thoughts.
Too much time, but also exactly the right amount of time. Because I started thinking about things I'd never slowed down enough to think about before.
Like what?
Like, I was just riding home from work. That's it. Nothing special about that day. I had plans for the weekend, and then just like that, everything changed.
That kind of thing resets your whole perspective.
It does. And I realized I didn't want to do the corporate job anymore. 40 hours a week, waking up every morning going, today's going to be awful. I don't want to go in. I was done with that feeling. I think a lot of people feel that, but most people don't do anything about it. I know, and honestly, before the accident, I probably wouldn't have either. But lying in that bed, I kept thinking life was short. Like, actually short. Not in a poster on the wall kind of way, in a I was just riding home kind of way.
wow. God bless you. That hits different when it's real.
Completely different. So I started trying to figure out, okay, what do I actually want? How do I live more like I want to live?
And that's when Tiny House came in?
Totally by accident. I was on Facebook one day and just saw a post about a tiny house. Clicked on it, didn't think much of it.
Just curious.
Just curious. But it kind of got stuck in my brain. I'd see another one, then another one, started doing more research. And then what? And then the voice in my head went from, I could never do this, to, well, what if I designed one? Like, what would I even do?
That shift right there, that's everything.
And then from there, it became, okay, what if I was actually going to do it? What would that look like? And then it became, I'm actually going to do this.
From Facebook scroll to 4.5 months later living in your own house?
The trailer showed up, the wall showed up, and 4.5 months later, I was home.
So, where are you parked right now? Like, whose land is this?
So this is actually an ex-coworker of mine. We worked together a couple years ago.
And she's okay with you just living in her driveway?
More than okay. It's actually a really good setup for both of us.
Oh, how so?
So her and her husband bought this property about 15 years ago. They had plans to renovate it, clean it up. They knew it needed a lot of work.
Okay.
Her husband passed away 2 years after they bought it.
Oh no.
So she's been out here by herself ever since, just trying to keep the property from falling into disrepair. And it's been hard for her.
Right. That's a lot to manage alone.
It really is. So having me here, I'm just taking up a corner of her driveway. But in exchange, I help put her fence back up, pump the tires on her car, she'll come knock on the door or honk the horn, and I'll go help her get her groceries in.
Nice. That's the kind of neighbor everyone wants.
And for me, it's 5 minutes. Genuinely, 5 minutes out of my day.
But for her...
For her, that's a real struggle. Getting groceries in on her own is actually difficult. So something that costs me nothing means a lot to her.
That's a beautiful arrangement. Like, it actually works for everyone.
That's what I mean when I say symbiotic. Nobody's doing anybody a favor. We're just taking care of each other.
I think that's something people don't think about when they imagine tiny house living. It's not just about the house. It's about how you fit into the world around you.
100%. And that's kind of the bigger point about all of this. The tiny house movement, it's not really about the houses.
What is it about then?
Nah, it's about the lifestyle. It's about the life you get to live because of it.
And for you personally?
For me, tiny house is freedom. Simple as that. I don't have to work when I don't want to work. I can go ride my bike on a Tuesday afternoon if it's nice out. I can take a job because I want to work for those people, not because I have a mortgage.
That's the part that gets me. The difference between I have to and I want to.
That's everything. I love this house. It's beautiful. But at the end of the day, it's still a thing.
Just a thing.
What I love more is what it makes possible. The opportunities, the choices, the mornings where I wake up and decide what the day looks like.
Not the other way around.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, I really want to ask you one last thing.
Yeah.
If someone's listening to this right now and they're sitting in a job they don't want to be in, waking up every morning saying, I have to, and they've been thinking about this for a while but haven't moved, what do you tell them?
Interesting. I tell them I was that person. I was exactly that person. And I probably would have stayed that person, if I hadn't ended up in a hospital bed with nothing to do but think.
And most people aren't going to get hit by a car.
Right. Most people don't get that kind of forced stop. So you have to choose it yourself. You have to decide to stop and ask yourself what you actually want.
Nice.
I mean, before something forces you to, because life is short. Not in a motivational quote kind of way, in a I was just riding home from work kind of way.
Wow, that line is going to stay with me.
It stayed with me too, every single day since.
So this house, $55,000, built in 4.5 months, almost entirely from salvaged materials, a stove from 1926, a ceiling made of old deck wood, a bathroom floor made of firewood, 2 beer taps, 3 bikes, a 110-inch screen, and one guy who decided he was done waiting.
That's pretty much it.
Guys, that's what tiny house freedom actually looks like. Not the square footage, not the floor plan. The mornings where you wake up and the day is yours. Richard built that from the ground up in every sense of the word. Thank you, man. This was incredible.
Thank you. Glad you came out.
If this story hit home for you, you know what to do. Subscribe, and don't forget to check out more inspiring tiny house stories. We've got a lot more of these coming. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.